Okay, let's unpack a really interesting paradox today. We're talking about how a military operation that was, by all accounts, flawless, a real textbook victory, ended up being the direct cause of a huge strategic catastrophe. It sounds wild, right? So let's get into it.
Everything really starts with this one number, 48.
Yep, that's how long it took. Just 48 hours to pull off a mission so fast, so precise that everyone was hailing it as this, whole new era in modern warfare. It was an incredible victory. Clean, quick, and totally decisive.
And that is the absolute core question we're looking at. What if the very perfection of that win created a blind spot? A blind spot so massive that it led military planners straight into a trap of their own making.
So our story kicks off in Venezuela with an operation that really seemed to prove that war could be, well, almost as clean and precise as a surgical procedure.
And here are the stats. On paper, it was just perfect. January 2026. The mission was called Operation Absolute Resolve. The target? Go in and capture Nicolas Maduro. And boom, they did it. It was a near-flawless decapitation strike, and the whole show was over in less than 2 days. For everyone watching, this looked like the future of warfare. Incredibly quick, super effective, and with almost no messy footprint.
But here's the twist. That amazing success created a really dangerous illusion. Something we can call the success trap.
You see, at the heart of this whole story is this sneaky cognitive error called success bias. It's basically the trap you fall into when you take one very specific, very unique victory and you start thinking it's a universal playbook, a template you can just use anywhere against anyone.
This quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head. The planners didn't see the takedown of Maduro as something that worked because of the very unique conditions inside Venezuela. Nope, they saw it as a new, fundamental law of modern war.
And this wasn't just some casual idea floating around. It actually got baked into official policy. It became known as the Donroe Doctrine, this core belief that you could just copy and paste this high-tech script onto any adversary anywhere in the world.
And you can see just how dangerously simple this new doctrine was. The so-called Venezuela playbook was boiled down to just 3 easy steps. 1, hit the leader with everything you've got. 2, just assume the whole system will fall apart. And 3, claim your quick victory. It was a scarily simple plan for a really complex war.
And that, of course, brings us to the next chapter, the catastrophic one. This is what happens when you take that simple, flawed script and try to apply it to a totally different situation, in Operation Epic Fury.
The whole problem was that the playbook was used against a fundamentally different kind of opponent. Look, in Venezuela, the target was a centralized hierarchy. It's like a pyramid. You knock off the top and the whole thing gets shaky. But Iran? Iran was a complex system of systems. So they weren't just running a flawed play. They were running it against an enemy it was never designed to beat. And that led them straight into a high-stakes quagmire.
So the entire foundation of the Donroe Doctrine was just wrong from the start. It assumed Iran's government was just another pyramid waiting to be toppled, exactly like Venezuela's was. But it just wasn't.
Iran's system was built differently. It was built to be resilient. For one, it had geographic depth, which makes it super hard to dominate. It had this powerful ideological core that really inspired people to endure, and, this is the crucial part, it had a decentralized command structure, one designed specifically to survive the exact kind of cut-off-the-head strike that works so well in Venezuela.
So what happens when you use the wrong playbook in the wrong war? Well, you get stuck. You get a quagmire. And the cost of that illusion? It started piling up in some very real and very devastating ways. The failure really played out on 3 main fronts. First, the sheer physical wear and tear on the military forces. Second, the logistical nightmare of trying to supply the war. And third, this cascade of unintended consequences.
First up, operational attrition. That belief that better technology would mean an instant win, it was just flat out wrong. Iran's defense wasn't built to win a quick fight. It was built to last, to absorb a massive blow and then just wear down the attacker over a long, long time.
Then you've got the logistical trap. I mean, the Venezuela operation had it easy, with short, simple supply lines right there in the Caribbean. But in Iran, those lines were stretched for thousands of miles, creating all these huge vulnerabilities that the original playbook never even had to think about.
And finally, maybe the most important cost, dynamic complexity. This is where every single action the U.S. forces took triggered reactions they never saw coming. Instead of collapsing, the resistance inside Iran actually got harder.
Instead of being isolated, Iran's allies in the region grew even stronger. The war itself was creating the very conditions that were causing it to fail.
And all of this leads to a pretty sobering conclusion about the real price of that first perfect victory.
This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? That easy win in Venezuela wasn't a bargain. It was more like a down payment on a future disaster. A victory so expensive you can't even begin to measure the cost.
So here's the bottom line. That incredible 48-hour triumph in Venezuela was paid for dearly, with a total loss of strategic reality in Iran. The leadership fell in love with their own success story and walked right into a trap built from their own hubris.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, you know? This isn't just about military strategy. It's about human psychology. It really makes you wonder, in your own life, maybe at work, where has a past success, an easy win, maybe created a blind spot for you?